I opened my sliding door with a coffee in my hand and found 50 strangers marching through my side gate, like my backyard was the community rec center. Pink sashes, folding tables, a DJ testing bass that shook the pool umbrellas. And at the center of it all, Lynette Brooks, our HOA queen, with a megaphone and a clipboard, smiling like she'd booked the venue months ago. "Good morning, Miles," she sang. "We reserved your pool for my 5-no community rights." My brain did that 3-second lag where you think you're on a prank show. Then I remembered the piece that always gets left out when Lynette tells stories. My house is legally annexed out of the HOA county. Judge stamped and recorded 5 years running. I told her calmly. Private residence, not in the HOA. She tilted the megaphone like a scepter and told her audience. Sometimes a neighbor forgets we're a community, and they clapped, not all of them, but enough to sting. I could have yelled. I could have called the sheriff right then. But people like Lynette are performers, and if you let a performer drag you onto their stage, you've already lost the first round. So I walked back in, set my coffee down, pulled the kitchen drawer with the folder I keep for exactly this. Annexation order settlement permits, licensed electrician sign-offs on the pool systems, and I took a breath that hurt a little on the way out. Through the glass, I watched a power cord snake from my garage outlet to her DJ table, watched a champagne bottle being balanced on my diving board, like it lived there, and I felt that click in my jaw. That means I'm about to make a choice. Downstairs, behind a small metal door, sits the safety panel for my pool, installed by Pros Inspected Legal, a low-voltage wildlife deterrent that hums the water as a warning when raccoons or night swimmers get clever. It's not a weapon. It's not meant to hurt anyone. It's a bright line that says in a very gentle electric voice, "Not for you." I had never used it with people. I didn't want to start. But the truth about Lynette is she doesn't fear rules, she feeds on certainty. And the only thing that slows a person like that is doubt. I stepped out with my coffee and said, "You're trespassing. Leave peacefully." She went bigger, music up, be neighborly, and the backyard turned into a county fair without a permit. Swimmers-to-be kicked off flip-flops. A teen in a glitter crown asked me to help unload cake like I was the caterer, and for a second it was so absurd I almost laughed. I closed the slider, turned the key on the panel, and waited. The warning chime is polite, like a 90s kitchen timer, and it floated under the deck. Heads turned. "Timer's off," Lynette said, trying to keep the bit going. I opened the door, stayed on the threshold, and kept my voice level. "This is private property. Safety measures are activating. The next step is law enforcement." The deck lights pulsed once the water shimmered, the way it does when a breeze skims it, and everything went quiet enough that I heard the filter hum like a refrigerator at 2 a.m. The DJ cut the sound. The glitter crown kid hopped out of the shallow end like a cat that stepped in a puddle. Balloons bumped the fence like they were embarrassed for everyone, and Lynette's smile cracked right down the middle. "It's fine," she said, smaller now, and nobody moved. "You have to leave," I repeated, steady as a metronome. They did not with apologies, not with drama, just that slow collective backing up people do when a story stops working. Yeah, that happened. For about an hour, I did the boring, holy work of boundaries. Scooped confetti from the water, photographed the DJ cord in my outlet. In case she tried a refund scam, rolled up streamers from my deck posts. Then Lynette came back with a man in an off-brand sport coat and a badge that could have come in a Halloween bag. "Riverton Safety," he announced, report of a dangerous electrical incident. I hit record. Which city office, I asked, and what license number? He glanced at Lynette. She lifted her chin like she could beam him courage. but the man's eyes said he suddenly remembered a different appointment. I laid my papers on the patio table, county seal catching sunlight. Permits inspection, annexation. Private home fully up to code. You were trespassing. He muttered reschedule, backed out like a Roomba that found a wall, and Lynette hissed, "This isn't over because of course she did." That night, neighbors sent clips in a group chat. Some cheering, some giving actual legal advice, and a local reporter DM'd to ask for a statement. I kept it clean. Timestamps, photos, nothing spicy, because receipts do more work than rage. A drone buzzed over the yard like a mechanical mosquito. I filmed it, noted the time with the sheriff, watched it wobble away when it lost signal, and sat on the porch with a glass of ice water, like a man who knows every lock is set and every file is backed up. You know what I mean. Morning delivered peak Lynette. Podium on the sidewalk, folding chairs, facing a banner that read, Community Safety Committee, blazer over a bright blouse, voice turned all the way up for the live stream. She talked about a near tragedy about children, about a rogue neighbor with a dangerous device, and she held up screenshots cropped to hide my private property signs. I watched her stream on my laptop, while the coffee-brewed comment section split between loyalists and people asking for facts. And when she hit a crescendo about felonious equipment, I stepped out with my folder and my phone. Morning, I said to the sidewalk congregation, I'm Miles. This is my home. Here's the case number showing my annexation from the HOA, and here are the permits and inspection documents for the pool system. I'll email them to anyone. Someone in the back asked for the number again. I read it slow and clear, like a teacher who wants the kid to know they're allowed to ask. Lynette sent a glare in that direction, like she could revoke citizenship, and you could feel the air shift. Authority moved from her megaphone to a stamped piece of paper held at chest height. But she wasn't done. She switched to protest mode. Bigger crowd-matching shirts with slogans about freedom that somehow never say responsibility. News vans rolling in, because cameras love conflict, and she pointed at my gate, demanding immediate access to inspect the hazard. I said, same tone as before. This is private property. Anyone crossing that line is trespassing. Law enforcement has been notified. 2 sheriff cruisers coasted up lights on no siren deputies, calm and practiced. I handed the folder they skimmed, nodded, walked to Lynette, and asked for her authority. And when she said community, they asked for a permit. And when she said common practice, they said no. The chant died like a speaker lost power. Supporters peeled off in 2s and 3s. Second-hand embarrassment settled on the street like dust. Twist delivered, not because the cops love me, but because her story finally met a fact it couldn't stare down. From there, endings started to stack. The deputy served a formal trespass notice in the afternoon and told her politely to stop. The reporter's piece went live, outlining a pattern neighbors had whispered about for a long time. Fake citations, sidewalk theater, fear as policy. And suddenly, I wasn't a recluse with a moat. I was just a guy with a folder and a quiet voice who had the audacity to ask for paperwork. A delivery showed up addressed to Lynette, using my address. Pool furniture I never ordered. So I filmed the refusal and waved the driver off because bait and blame is page 1 of that playbook. A black van dropped off 3 people in matching windbreakers who took photos of my fence like it might confess, and when I asked for credentials on camera, they retreated without a fight. The county announced an inquiry into the HOA's conduct after receiving multiple sworn statements, and I didn't cheer. I vacuumed the pool because you still have to live in your house after the internet stops caring. Late in the day, I watched Lynette carry 2 cardboard boxes to her trunk. Not crying, not ranting, just smaller. and she drove off without looking over. Maybe she was going to a lawyer. Maybe she was done. I won't guess at her heart. I will say the street felt lighter, like somebody finally turned off a radio that had been hissing between stations for years. Did I win? I don't know. I didn't flip a switch to punish anyone. I activated a posted, inspected safety system that hums the water to deter wildlife, and it made a bully hesitate long enough for the grown-ups in the room to read a case number. That hesitation, that breath, gave neighbors time to remember they're allowed to ask, what gives you the right? The real victory, if there is one, is quieter than a headline. It's a couple down the block admitting they paid a bogus fine because they were tired and scared. It's the Navy cap next door saying, I'll testify if you need me. It's me, a guy who works overtime and just wanted a peaceful Saturday, learning that receipts travel farther than a megaphone, and a steady voice does more damage to a lie than any shout ever could. So what would you have done in my shoes? Was I right to hit the safety chime? Or should I have called the sheriff the moment the pink sashes crossed my gate? Do HOAs protect neighborhoods, or do they hand microphones to people who crave control? Take your outrage. Your story. I read them all. If you want more real homeowner showdowns told straight. Tap subscribe, share this with the one neighbor who needs to hear it. And remember, boundaries aren't loud, they're built.